Game.
So wait, I'm going first, correct?
Yes.
Okay. As we all know, we all have different ingredients that contribute to the recipe of who we are. The main three ingredients to my personality are that I'm motivated, short-tempered, and very caring. Some things that I would say motivate me are my goals. I have a lot of goals as a young adult, and I'm determined to accomplish them. As I mentioned to you guys before, I want to get my master's degree in psychology and be a licensed mental health counselor, and hopefully get my real estate license by this spring break. I someday hope to take over my dad's real estate business and run it with him. I won't give up until I reach these goals, so I would say that makes me pretty motivated. In addition to that, we all have our flaws. Mine happens to be a short temper. Growing up, my brother and I would fight a lot, and a couple of Christmas Eves ago, we ended up getting into a huge quarrel that ended up getting my brother into a lot of trouble. This ruined everyone's Christmas and was a huge eye opener to the fact that I do have a bad temper, and it's something that I'm trying to work on slowly but surely. Today, I've grown to be a lot more patient and understanding than I think I've ever been. But on the brighter side of things, one of my better traits is my care. When I was 19 years old, my best friend she established that she was an alcoholic and she had a lot of problems going on in her life and started relying on alcohol to solve them. She was afraid of telling her parents in fear that they wouldn't understand, so as her best friend, I felt somewhat responsible to help lead her into a better direction and help her get her life together. I started to get her to go to AA meetings and eventually helped her get into a rehab treatment center. Today, she has definitely gotten her life back, and her parents thank me all the time for being the friend that has been there for her and helping her figure her life out and showing her that she needed to change. This experience taught me how caring I am for the people close to me, especially, and that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, which is help people that are not mentally stable and help guide them into a better place. So again, the three main ingredients to the Sour Patch that I tend to be are my care, short temper, and motivation. And overall, I would say these characteristics describe me the best. And that's it.
All right, so I guess it's my turn.
All right.
Okay, so I will actually be introducing my boyfriend because I think we have introduced each other enough. Um, so I met my boyfriend while I was going to PBA my freshman year of college. I had currently been dating somebody else for 4 years, and I had a very rocky relationship. So I decided to leave that and start something new. The boyfriend's name is Mac. He is a year older than me, and we actually are on the same grade. He actually stopped going to school and got his real estate license and works as a real estate broker. So I thought of some characteristics that I thought described him, and I also talked to him about what he thought, and we came pretty much up with the same synonyms as to what we thought he embodied. First of all, I thought of unique because he's a very different person, and I don't mean that as, oh, I'm so unique, I do this, I do that. My boyfriend actually has schizophrenia. And I think that really shapes his personality in a completely different way, unlike other people. He knows exactly how to manage himself with his problems and actually still live a normal life, which I think is very, like, valiant of him. I actually learned this through one day going to the school cafe and him sitting me down and going, hey, I need to tell you this. And this was before we started dating. I thought that was very noble of him to bring up such a severe subject before we started dating so that I knew what I was getting myself into. Not that it actually mattered to me, because I don't think that's something that should matter. Another thing that I pretty much think he embodies perfectly is the fact that he is incredibly dedicated, and especially when it comes to money. I've never seen a person be so dedicated and want money so much. He will make money any way he can and do anything he can so he has what he wants. One way that I could describe this by is the fact that when we were in Indiana during our summer vacation so that I could meet his parents, we were talking about moving in. I was very worried about the finances and not being able to do things correctly and just kind of screwing ourselves over. And he pretty much told me, hey, it's going to be fine. I will make the money no matter what has to happen. And it showed me that he's a very dedicated person. He will get things done. Another thing that also showed me that he's so dedicated is the fact that he got his real estate license in less than a month and actually started working in that within weeks after getting his real estate. Actually, he started working before he even got his real estate license, so it shows that he's a very dedicated person. Lastly, I do think he's a very thoughtful person, and I don't mean this as in walk the old lady across the street kind of thoughtful. I kind of mean this more in a, when we go to bed, I actually have this weird craving where I always have to eat popcorn and I need to drink tons of water, and he knows that, and I'm too lazy to get up out of bed, so he decides to always ask me, hey, do you want me to make a bag of popcorn, and would you like me to refill your bottle of water? And it works perfectly because it shows me that he cares, but it's not an overwhelming amount of affection. Overall, I would say Mac is a very different person, that I have never met somebody that is so compatible with me and also such a unique person and his own person. So I think I like him a lot because of these reasons. I'm actually going to finish off my speech with a quote from Oscar Levant. He said, "There's a fine line between genius and insanity. I have erased this line." And I think that embodies Mac perfectly because he actually has erased that line. He is insane but still sane at the same time. And yeah, I think most people are different, and that makes everybody perfect.
Awesome. Guess I'm up next. Hey everyone, my name is Sharitha Spencer, and I love to talk about my husband and talk about my marriage. I think within my marriage, a lot of my traits and who I am is exposed. When I was dating my husband 6 years ago, I asked him, what is some of the traits that you look for in an ideal wife, quote unquote? And come to find out, after being together for a while and some of the experiences that we've had before and after being married, those three traits were exposed, and they're still being exposed. So one of the three traits is being romantic, and the other one is intelligence, and the last one is being witty. And recently he saw the trait of being witty in a bigger and greater light. I'm a part of an organization in Boca Raton, Florida, where we go and do non-for-profit work, and I went to a foster home. And in this foster home, there's young men. They're from the ages of 12 to 17, and sometimes that can be really, really intimidating when you're around teenagers, and they look at you, you know, like you're an old fogey. So I went in, and I basically was in charge of this program, and I had to be quick on my feet. They were saying a lot of jokes and playing around, and I had to be able to get their attention and keep their attention. And so I was able to go head-to-head with them with some of the jokes, and surprisingly, I got their respect, and it was a great event. As far as being romantic, I remember growing up, and I even told my husband this story. One day I was sitting in the room, and I was watching TV, and my mom came in, and I was watching an old black and white movie. And she looked at me. I was really young at the time, and she said, "Are you sure you were born in the right decade?" She's like, "Why do you love these old black and white romantic movies?" And it's been true ever since. Even now, my husband, he'll come in the room sometime, and he'll basically say, "Why do we even have cable? I mean, all you watch is these old black and white movies." So I love romantic movies, and one of my favorite movies is actually Gone with the Wind. So I would say I'm very, very romantic. And then lastly, another trait is intelligence. Now, this can be defined in several different ways. When I decided to go back to school after 30 years of being out of school, I made a pact with my husband, and I told him, I said, "I'm going to get all A's." And he looked at me kind of funny and was like, "Well, that's a really lofty goal." And he was justified in saying that because in high school and previous classes that I had taken, I was basically an average student. And so I'm happy to say the last 2 years I've been in school, I've been a 4.0. And actually, it's not because I'm naturally smart. I think it's because of having good time management and knowing how to study smart. And so one of the things I noticed with these three traits is that I was able to acquire my ideal husband. So one of my own little quotes that I have in my own conclusion is, strive to become the person that you want to attract. And I don't mean be the identical person, but if you want someone intelligent, witty, romantic, ask yourself, am I the type of person that would attract that type of person? And 9 times out of 10, it will actually work. So thanks for allowing me to share a little bit of who I am, and I hope you learned a little bit more about Sharita Spencer. Thanks.
Well, as most of you know, I'm Kaylee, and I'm going to introduce my boyfriend. We've been going out for about 2 years, and he is honestly one of the best persons I've ever met. We had a rocky start, but now we are going strong, and I'm very happy with where we are right now. And one of the words that I could say describes him most clearly is loyal. I have never seen somebody who is so dedicated to the people around him. One time we were at this show, and this guy was bad-mouthing one of his friends named Claude, saying he was righteous and that he always did these things to get attention, and Keith stood up and was like, you need to believe in something as strongly as Claude does, because you always need something to keep you going. And Keith is a little guy. He's not big by no means, and this guy he was talking to is huge, and he was not afraid to stand up for what he believed in. Another word I would say that describes my boyfriend is motivated. He goes to work almost every day, and even when there's something amazing going on that I really want to go do or that he really wants to go do, he always shows up to work and never is late and always on time. Today we were supposed to go to this cruise down to Fort Lauderdale for a car meet, and he had to work till 1:30, and the cruise started at 10. And even though he really wanted to go and he'd been planning to do this for months, he still went to work and he still did his hardest job that he could, even though he wanted to be somewhere else. Keith is also intelligent, and I don't mean intelligent like book smart. He is not good at math or grammar, but he knows history really well, and it's very surprising to see him talk about history. We were watching Pearl Harbor the other day, and he was telling me all these things like, yeah, this happened that time, and this happened this, and he knew everything. And I took AP history and passed, and I still didn't remember when Pearl Harbor happened or why it was happening, as bad as that may sound. But he knew everything, and any question I had he answered with not a hesitation. And although we had a rocky start, the 3 things that I love about him are his motivation, his intelligence, and his loyalty. And it is one thing to have these characteristics on their own, but when they're all together, they make one of the most incredible persons I've ever met, and I am so glad to have him in my life. And I'm done.
Hi, so I guess I'm next. Well, I'm sorry. First, I want to apologize for my voice. I'm a little bit sick. Well, my name is John Delgado. I'm 26 years old. When doing this assignment, I actually found out that I'm the epitome of a walking contradiction, because everything I found out to how to describe me eventually contradicts itself. But for sake of simplicity, I would have to say that I'm creative, analytical, and adventurous. Creative not only in the connotation of artistic, because I do play drums, I am a dance instructor, I do draw and have won some contests, but mostly because of my solution, or basically finding solutions to problems. At work, in my personal life, I'm analytical. This, some people would say that it's my pro and my con. They say that it's good that I'm analytical because I always think things through, but they also say that one of my cons is that I overthink everything. And of course, my favorite would be adventurous. I have everything that gives me a little bit of an adrenaline rush. I have tried. I've skydived twice, scuba dived without any certification, just got in oxygen tanks and got into the water. I've hang glided. I've pier dived, cliff dived. Everything, at least I like to try it out once. One of my favorite stories is one time I actually had to go to New York, wanted to see New York with my family, but my family canceled with me. Canceled on me last minute. And since I still wanted to see New York, I actually went and just backpacked. I didn't have any previous arrangements on where to stay or anything like that. And so in a weekend, I actually went to Virginia, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, and I slept at the train stations and at the bus stations. I barely made it home, but it was an incredible experience. Another time was for New Year's, last minute plan. My friends wanted to go to New York also for Times Square, and halfway up, we decided that we weren't gonna make it up in time before they closed it. So last minute, I rented a car in Daytona, and we actually went to New Orleans. We went to New Orleans basically for 24 hours. We drove, had a New Year's party, and came back. So yeah, basically those are the three things that best describe me. Again, I'm the kind of person that you see in the class, very quiet. It's hard to put a finger on me because I am shy but very outgoing also. So yeah, so if to summarize, yeah, I would have to say I'm creative, analytical, and adventurous.
Where did Haya go?
Yes, this is not good.
She
Um,
disappeared.
If we lost her, we're gonna have to do this all over because she's the one
It's still saying it's live, so I don't think so.
But how is she gonna give her presentation? Uh-oh.
I hear dings and stuff.
That means that somehow she might have got disconnected, which means I hope this whole, I mean, it's not void as far as our part is concerned, but
Yeah, for her.
I hope we don't have to start all over.
We won't have to start all over. We'll just have to get back on to listen to it. Ours will save. It's just hers that needs to be done.
No. So,
let me text her. Hold on.
yeah, let me see if we got to shut this down and start it up again, or can we just, yeah,
It says that she left the group chat, but
she's where?
She said that her computer shut off
Oh gosh.
and that she hopes to God the broadcast is still on.
See, I told you guys.
Let's not sign out until she gets back on.
That's what, exactly.
Just to make sure.
Crap.
I saw when she left. I'm like, oh no.
I was like, I don't want to interrupt John, but where did Haya go? Oh, there she is.
All right.
Yay, she's back.
Y'all hear what I hear?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
I definitely hear that.
Oh no.
Come on. Somebody please tell her.
I don't think she knows. Hold on.
Can you hear us? Aya? I'm not trying to be funny, but you sound like Alvin and the Chipmunk right about now. Oh no. Oh no. You literally sound like Alvin and the Chipmunk. This is not good. Someone else tell her so she don't think that's just me. Someone else tell her what she say. This is not good. Oh no. Are we
You
gonna
want
have
to sign off and sign back in?
Hey, you guys, we might have to do this all over. We can't hear you. You sound like Alvin and Chipmunk.
Let's try to end this broadcast and start a new one so that we can just finish hers.
Oh,
Okay.
that's but what's going to happen to this? You may lose this.
Haya, put yours on mute, please. There you go.
Much better.
Yeah, we should just end this broadcast and start a new one so that she can just finish off her speech, and that way we can make sure this one's also saved.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when we get off this, when we get off this one will be saved?
It should.
know that
We
for a
can just
fact?
check real quick before we start a new one.
Okay, you guys.
Alrighty.
All right.
Try this again.